Hey everybody on YouTube, Carl Alexander here, and in today's video we're taking a look at the VR title, Vanishing Realms. Let's get into it. Vanishing Realms is a virtual reality first-person RPG that was released on April 5th, 2016. The game is currently in early access and only available for the HTC Vive VR headset. The current price is $20. So from what you can already see, this game won't be turning any heads graphically. The models, animation, and overall presentation have a very, dare I say, mobile vibe. I'm not saying that to be rude. It's a very clean and good looking game, but it's nothing we haven't seen before and nothing impressive. However, this is an indie game, and a VR indie game at that. The HTC Vive needs a constant 90 frames per second to provide an experience without motion sickness. Because of this, games need to be optimized to run at a 2K resolution without hitching, and for an indie dev, that's no simple task. In fact, right now in VR, the clean, simple, and low poly style of Vanishing Realms works really well. The textures and objects really pop out in the Vive, where games with complex textures and objects need to use tricks like resolution scaling, which can create blurry images. Vanishing Realms has no fancy particle effects or lighting, but its art style is so classic to the RPG genre, it just works. I know from the footage you may think I'm crazy for saying that, but you'll just have to take my word for it. Playing games in VR is very different from your standard 2D LCD. Fidelity just isn't as important. Because you're inside the game walking around, immersion just happens. You don't need fancy graphics to be taken into the world, you're already there. Standing and fighting in front of huge skeleton monsters gives a feeling that sadly the footage just can't show. The game features a great sense of scale, clean sharp images, and good performance, which for now is about all you can ask for in VR. The game's story can be summed up in one line. In Vanishing Realms, you travel to an island that has been overtaken by a dark force. Using your wits and brawn, you will discover the secret fire wand and rid the island of evil once and for all. The story is as incredibly generic as that line. The experience reminds me of a single dungeon from a Zelda game. It's got a dark force that has overtaken some area, and there is a magical item you must find to defeat the boss, who also happens to be locked behind a big door that requires said magical item to open. That sounds rough, but it's true, and it's not bad. The game feels like a fun concept of what a VR RPG could be. It doesn't get bogged down in why you're in this place, it just lets you have fun with exploring the dungeon. Gameplay is about as generic as the story. When you look down, you'll see that you have 3 tracked stats: health, mana, and gold. As you go through the game, you'll find a few permanent health upgrades and plenty of gold and mana crystals. Gold is used to buy new items, and mana is used on the one magical item in the game. You have 2 bag slots for consumable items, and slots for a shield, sword, bow, and wand. With the Vive controllers, the system works well and becomes mostly second nature. However, switching items from hand to hand or freeing up a hand to grab something can be a bit cumbersome, especially in combat. Movement in the game is handled with teleportation and your room scale environment like most early Vive titles. You can walk around your Steam VR area, and if you need to move further along, you can use the controller to point and move to a location further away. There's also a convenient pause feature that will allow you to recenter yourself in your VR space if you get too close to your walls. Combat was the first experience in VR that got my heart racing. I don't have the original footage, but the first time squaring off against a huge skeleton swinging a sword at me was awesome. The sword and shield controls are 1-to-1 for the most part, and things like blocking come very naturally. However, the bow and arrow mechanics aren't so great. The Lab, a Valve-created demo for the Vive, has a great bow and arrow game that just feels so natural. But in Vanishing Realms, it feels really clunky, inaccurate, and slow. So this isn't a limitation of the hardware, it's just some poorly made mechanics. Though I will say dodging arrows and ducking behind cover was really fun, and hopefully the aiming mechanics will be improved in future updates. As for your goals in the game, it's a pretty standard waypoint system. Get to a checkpoint and the game saves. Your goals are simple and laid out using equally simple riddles. The objectives stay in line with the simplicity of the story, which is both a good and bad thing. Since combat can be a bit clunky at times, the game is in a great place to have interesting puzzles, but it doesn't. There are a few moments where switches can be used to your advantage, but nothing that would really count as a puzzle, and that's disappointing. Parts like here where I had to get down on the floor to avoid some swinging axes is a great use of VR, and sadly there just isn't enough of that type of gameplay. Vanishing Realms is an incredibly short and unfinished game, which is often the story of early access titles. Some get finished, some don't. No matter if it's finished or not, to me it's a great showcase of what VR will bring us. It's a bit pricey for the 2 hours of content it provides, but I enjoyed every moment of it. I hope the developer creates new levels and mechanics, because they've got a foundation for something great. VR is here, and Vanishing Realms has helped restore my faith that it will provide experiences that you can't get from a mouse and keyboard. If you have a Vive, I would check this game out. It may not be everything a VR RPG should be, but it's enough to show how cool the future will be. Okay everybody, that was my video for this week. I hope you liked it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, I think you know what to do. Leave me a comment in the comments section and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this one in the future. Coming up soon, maybe next week, maybe a little later, I'm going to be doing a review on the last Fallout 4 DLC, Nuka World. So be looking out for that one, and I'll see you then.